Hello, vinyl community and anyone else watching this. I wanted to make a video because there's a new female, girl, woman, I'm not sure, called May K, who has asked Robert Z to ask some questions for her. She's not able to for I don't know why, but she's not able to do it. And she had 4 questions that she wanted people to answer for her. So I thought, Robert was gracious enough to ask them for her. I thought the least I could do was answer them to the best of my ability. So, May K and Robert, here are my answers to your 4 questions. First one is, what group, artist, band inspired you to play an instrument if you play one? I don't play an instrument. I always loved to play guitar, but I have very short, stubby little fingers. And I just don't think it would work out very well. However, I do sort of collect guitars. I call them trash guitars. A certain band and musician have inspired that, and that would be the Beatles, and specifically Paul McCartney inspired me a few years ago. Gosh, maybe 10 years ago I bought this now. God, it doesn't seem possible to buy this. Let me stand back so maybe you can see what I'm talking about here. It is a genuine imitation Hofner bass. Maybe you can do that. It's like one of the best things I own, actually. I don't own a lot of things, but I kind of like this a lot. So, yeah. To answer your question, I have a few guitars, but this is my prize. And it's just a cool thing. It sits in my living room, and I hook it up to an amp once in a while with a bunch of distortion and make a lot of noise. But anyway, okay, that's the first question. It would be the Beatles and Paul's Beatle bass. The second question, I got a sheet here, is 3 albums from an early age. I think I picked 4, actually, that you still have, that you cared for, that you've taken with you your whole life. And mine are actually all near mint condition. And considering I think I was 10 when I got my first one, 10 or 11, that's pretty amazing. Here's the first one. I have shown this before in my introduction video, but it's the Partridge Family Sound Magazine. This thing is in excellent shape, and I've had it since it came out. Next up, Christmas of 75 to 76, I think. I got this for Christmas. I have a twin brother. I don't know if I've ever said that. He got the Red Album, the Beatles 62 to 66, and I got the Beatles 67 to 70. And I just took it out of the shrink and was looking at it, not the shrink, but the plastic cover. And this thing is in amazing condition. It has the original little piece of paper that came in it, and there you go. This is a very old album that I still have. This is the first album I remember purchasing for myself. It's Eric Carmen's first solo album. I was a huge Raspberries fan, and when he went solo, I could not help but buy this. And considering the gold cover and everything that this has, this is actually in very good shape as well. No ring wear, no nothing, and I've been carting this around since 1976. And the end of 1976, I went to the Hills department store, and I can tell you I paid $9.16 for this. Wings Over America. Paul McCartney's live 3-record set. I would say the cover is in VG++ condition. Because it's a 3-record set, and it's been banged around. And the spine has gotten a little faded over the years. I don't know if you can see that. So my original copy of Wings Over America. Her third question was, show some rock that you think is obscure, and so you can share it and maybe inspire some people or whatever. I'm more of a rock and roll guy and a pop guy than a rock guy. So what I'm going to show isn't necessarily rock, but it's getting there anyway. Here's a band that not a whole lot of people know about, and I think this album contains everything they ever did. They're the Byrds, but B-I-R-D-S, the British Byrds, and Ron Wood from the Rolling Stones was in this band. They have two great songs, I think. You're on My Mind and Say Those Magic Words are both fantastic records. The British Byrds. 60s band. This is a late 80s band. The Beasts of Burden. I just found out about this. In fact, I just got this and showed it in a video. They're an Australian supergroup, and they do my favorite version of Leon Payne's Psycho. Just a fantastic, obscure band that not enough people know about. I used to know these guys in Buffalo. I've showed this album before too. The Mystic Eyes. Bernie Kugel, who is that guy, was a good friend of mine. And these guys play garage rock. They have 2 albums out and a few 45s. And just an awesome, awesome garage band. Nobody knows about. This isn't everybody's cup of tea, but the Monks, Black Monk Time. It's a 60s masterpiece of noise. A guitar, a bass, and a banjo and a drum was the lineup for this band. And a lot of shrieking and noise going on. There were 4 expatriates from Germany, actually 5 actually, there must be 2 guitars. And they shaved their head like monks and put on monks' robes, and they were all ex-war guys, army guys, met in Germany, and the Monks, Black Monk Time. This is a 180-gram reissue. And I particularly like this album, but a lot of people do not. But there you go. I thought I'd show a few. One of the best underrated bands in the 60s that nobody knows about, the Blue Things. This is an awesome folky, some psyche, some garagey bits in here. The Blue Things. Love this album. A couple more. I only have the greatest hits, but the undertones. This is the greatest hits. Cheruboli's. I love the name. And this guy right there is Feargal Sharkey. If you remember him, you wonder where he came from. Came from the Undertones. They were in, were they Irish? I'm thinking they were Irish, but I'm not positive. English or Irish, but I'm thinking Irish. Anyway, late 70s, great pop-punk band. Awesome stuff. Everybody should know about these guys, and I don't think enough people do. The 5, 6, 7, 8s. Of course, they're featured in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill movie. And this is a collection, 2-record set of their earliest singles. And it's awesome. And everybody should be a fan of the 5, 6, 7, 8s. If you're a fan of Shonen Knife and not these guys, shame. And 2 more in the obscure rock category, newer things. Courtney Barnett. I got turned on to this by somebody else in the vinyl community, and I thought I would do the same. She is a phenomenally quirky, cool singer-songwriter, and I bought the 10 Bands, One Cause edition of this. It costs a little more, and they gave the difference to charity, and it's on pink vinyl. It's a breast cancer album. So, awesome. This is their first 2 EPs combined into 1 record. And lastly, in England, these guys were big. But in America, Beady Eye, which is the remains of Oasis, including Liam Gallagher. This is a fantastic album. Their second album isn't nearly as good. But this is just great. Different years, still speeding. Awesome record. And nobody in America seems to buy it. I don't know why. Okay, the last question. Robert Z had a really good point about this, and she wanted us to name 5 overrated bands and then our top 5 underrated bands. Well, you can get in a lot of trouble for this because everybody loves their bands, and you know, and I don't have any records to show from my 5 overrated bands because and I haven't even put them in order or anything, or even thought very much about it. I'm just going to spew 5 out. I'm not a rock guy, and I'm not what I would call, God, I'm going to get in trouble here, a pretentious rock guy. So I would say my 5 overrated bands are Journey, Boston, Kansas, certainly REO Speedwagon, and maybe Styx. Sorry about that. It's not it's not a question anybody who's going to be thrilled to answer. But there you go. And now I'll move right on to 5 underrated bands. And everybody knows about this band, but they never come up in conversations with great bands, and they should. The Zombies, and this is of course their great Odyssey and Oracle album. One of the best albums ever made, and all of their stuff is fantastic, and they don't get enough credit for it, in my opinion. So the Zombies would be an underrated band. Next up, I'm going to take some flack, but the Monkees. I know on most albums they didn't play their own instruments and they didn't write a ton of their own songs, but they did write quite a few. But they could play their instruments, and on this album right here, Headquarters, they mostly did. And they had control over the album, and shockingly, actually I'm kidding there, it's their best album. So the Monkees, I'm sorry, are on my list of overlooked and influential. I'm including influential here in this topic. And the Zombies and the Monkees, both hugely influential bands, as is this man. Gets no credit whatsoever. Nick Lowe. I just chose this album because it has a really good picture of him. This is The Convincer from a few years ago. This guy, in addition to producing the first 5 Elvis Costello albums, is fantastic, and he's still going strong. He's still making great records, and I get on my podcast, I play him all the time, and I take more flack for playing him than I do Nancy Sinatra, who I also love. But he's fantastic and an underrated guy. When Elvis Costello got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he said Nick Lowe should be either standing at his side or going in there first. And I completely agree with that. So Nick Lowe, on my list, underrated artists. 2 more. The Merry-Go-Round. They only made 1 album, and Emmett Rhodes was in this band, and he's not underrated. People who know who he is think he's fantastic. But the Merry-Go-Round themselves didn't get enough credit, and this is a fantastic album, and they were a really good band. I'll pick them out. There's Emmett Rhodes right there. This one. And last but not least, I'm going to take tons of flack for this. I'm going to take a hit. But I picked them because they're influential. And that is ABBA. This is their first ever album. There's even some Swedish songs on it. Ring Ring. And these guys were pop geniuses. And everybody from Ray Davies to Elvis Costello, you listen to the first 3 or 4 Elvis Costello albums, every keyboard riff that Steve Naive is playing, he's stolen from ABBA. He really has. Listen to it sometime. This is an underrated group. I'm sorry. They, in my opinion, they blow Journey out of the water because they're not pretentious. They were what they were. They made pop records. They didn't try to be anything else, and that's what they did. Okay, I hope that answers your questions. There are going to be a lot of people that don't like my answers, but oh well. I hope that does it, May Kay, and that's about it. Check out my podcast. I do a podcast. If you don't like what I just showed, you're not going to want to check it out probably, but it's the Snap, Crackle, and Pop Vinyl Hour at snapcracklepop.podomatic.com. And thank you to all my subscribers. I'm not going to do any shout outs in this video, but you know who you are. Thank you all. And I'm up into the 80s now, which means I'll probably do a contest at 100. or somewhere over that. So be looking for that if you enter contests. I encourage everybody to do that. And thanks for watching. And Robert Z, I think you're awesome for doing that for her. And I hope I contributed a little bit. Thanks, guys. Bye.